More about who is going to run the International Monetary Fund. Of course, European debt worries highlight the urgency to replace Dominique Strauss-Kahn. France's Finance Minister Christine Lagarde appears to be winning support from member nations. To tell us more about the procedure to select an IMF chief is John Lipsky. He is the acting managing director, and he joins us now from Washington. John Lipsky, thank you for joining us. For those that don't understand the specific procedure, can you just lay out what has to happen? How do member countries vote? And when do you expect a decision on who's going to lead the International Monetary Fund?
Yes, indeed. The choice is effectively made by our 187 member countries acting through the 24-member board of executive directors who are their political representatives of a member countries in resident here in Washington. What they decided on Friday on a process in which we will have a period for nominations by member countries. Then there will be a process of shortlisting. The shortlist will be interviewed by the board, and then they will make their choice. The goal is to have a new managing director named by the end of June.
By the end of June. Now, you have already indicated that you would want to leave the International Monetary Fund. What are your plans there?
Well, I had a term as first deputy managing director, a 5-year term that ends in the end of August, and I had indicated that I did not tend to seek a second term. But frankly, end of August seems quite a long way away right now. I'm personally focused very much on the challenges facing the institution right now.
So from your perspective, no plans to name a successor for your particular position?
I assume that will be taken care of in due time by the new managing director.
All right, and does whoever it takes your place, do you feel that needs to be an American? Because we've talked a lot about the nationality of who's going to lead the IMF. How important is it that an American be number 2?
Well, this is a choice that is left to the managing director with the approval and agreement of the executive board, so I'll leave that question to them.
John Lipsky, as an economist, how would you counsel people and institutions that currently hold the debt of nations such as Greece and Portugal?
Well, Greece, Portugal, and Ireland are now entered into economic adjustment programs in very difficult circumstances, supported by their European partners and by the IMF. These very detailed and quite strenuous adjustment programs do not contemplate debt restructuring. And we are convinced that if the programs are fully implemented, that they will succeed in restoring economic health to these countries. We're not saying it's simple, but if implemented, they will work, and there will not be a need for debt restructuring.
John Lipsky, would you buy Greek debt or Portuguese debt at this point?
Well, I'm not an investor. Investors get to make those choices. But I repeat, we have a program, an adjustment program, agreed with the Greek authorities, supported with our European partners, and we're convinced if implemented, the program will produce the desired results.
John Lipsky, there is a G8 meeting. It's scheduled for this Thursday and Friday in Deauville, France. What are you expecting to come out of that meeting affecting European debt?
That's not going to be the focus of this meeting. It's a meeting of heads of state of the G8 countries. The particular focus, as well as broad issues, in specific terms, there will be a session with the MENA countries, the Middle Eastern, North African countries that have been affected by the recent turmoil. Also, a session on sub-Saharan Africa. I'm hopeful that there will be a consensus to continue to support progress in these important areas. There will be other discussions within the G8 that will not involve the IMF or the other international institutions.
Well, as you mentioned, there are other heads of state who have been invited to the G8, specifically from North Africa, for example. What do you say to their calls to have a non-European head the International Monetary Fund?
Well, this is, once again, this is a matter for our membership to decide. There's an agreement on a process that is open, transparent, and merit-based. I'm quite confident that their choice will be a highly talented and skilled leader for this institution.
Having said that, I mean, do you believe that the IMF will have to put new money into any kind of an agreement to stabilize the finances of Greece, Portugal, Ireland? And indeed, today we hear about the possibility of debt downgrades in places such as Belgium and then perhaps even Spain.
But let's be careful here. We just last Monday, our executive board approved what we call a review, two reviews actually, of the program with Ireland and authorized new disbursement of funds because that program is on track. On Friday, our executive board approved the program with Portugal. That is a very aggressive program to produce structural reforms, improve the underlying performance of the Portuguese economy after a decade of difficulties. In Greece, we have a team in Athens as we speak in discussions with the Greek authorities about their policy programs and progress. These are countries that are engaged in actively and formally engaged with the fund and our European partners. The other countries you've mentioned are not informally in a program with the IMF or their European partners. They're dealing with their situations, which are rather distinct from the three countries that have programs. Remember, it wasn't so long ago, just 6 months ago, the markets, investors seemed to be convinced, or at least market and prices implied that they were convinced that if Portugal entered into a program with the IMF and its European partners, there would be contagion to Spain and beyond. So I would say by those standards, we're in much better shape than had been anticipated only months ago. This is not to say the situations aren't challenging, but those challenges are being met in various ways that match the circumstances of individual countries that differ.
All right, I want to thank you very much, the acting chief of the International Monetary Fund, and John Lipsky, joining us from Washington.